Russia has been rocked once again by a dramatic Ukrainian long-range drone strike, this time hitting a residential apartment block in the city of Tver, northwest of Moscow. CCTV cameras captured the exact moment the Kamikaze drone plummeted into a 9-story building, erupting in fire and smoke and sending debris cascading across nearby vehicles. At least 7 people, including a child, have been hospitalized, with evacuation operations continuing through the night. Officials say the drone may have veered off course due to a malfunction or Russian electronic warfare interference, but the impact left several apartments smashed open and burning. And this latest incident comes less than 24 hours after the extraordinary overnight barrage, in which Ukraine reportedly launched 287 drones across 12 Russian regions, one of the largest long-range UAV offensives of the war. That wave targeted infrastructure sites from Bryansk to Krasnodar, overwhelming local air defenses and forcing multiple regions to declare emergency flight restrictions. Now, tonight's strike in Tver adds another flashpoint. Russian media outlets report that the drone crashed into the lower floors of the high-rise, damaging at least 4 apartments, igniting internal fires, and prompting frantic rescue efforts. Footage from the scene shows smoke pouring from shattered balconies, while emergency crews battle flames in the dark. The acting regional governor, Vitaly Korolyov, confirmed the ongoing evacuation and rising injury toll.
No!
In a separate incident, another Ukrainian drone headed for Moscow but was shot down by Russian air defenses, according to Mayor Sergei Sobyanin. Meanwhile, extensive flight restrictions swept across airports in Kaluga, Volgograd, Vladikavkaz, Grozny, Magas, and Yaroslav, with Russia's aviation authority citing continued UAV threats. Far to the south, Sochi has also come under drone strike pressure. Sochi Airport imposed temporary takeoff and landing restrictions, triggering diversions, including one flight forced to reroute to Minoranya Vody. Sirens blared overnight as air defenses were activated, and a full no-fly carpet plan was declared, even after local officials prematurely announced the all-clear. Restrictions were only fully lifted at 3:36 a.m., according to the airport authority. Not just land strikes, Ukraine is now pushing the war out to sea. Ukrainian SBU Sea Baby drones have reportedly struck the Comoros-flagged Russian Shadow Fleet tanker Dashan in the Black Sea on Wednesday. The strike marks the 3rd Russian tanker targeted in just 2 weeks, signaling Kyiv's expanding reach. Tensions across Eastern Europe escalated once again, as Russia reported one of the largest overnight drone barrages in months. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, 287 Ukrainian drones were intercepted across multiple regions, with 32 long-range Kamikaze drones headed directly toward Moscow. It marks one of the heaviest waves of UAV activity targeting the Russian capital in recent weeks. The interceptions took place over 8 hours, triggering temporary aviation chaos. More than 40 incoming flights were diverted as Moscow airports went into emergency protocol. Air traffic returned to normal only on Thursday morning, underscoring the scale of the threat. Russian officials are now linking this surge in strikes to growing geopolitical pressure. A senior diplomat claims Washington is pushing President Volodymyr Zelensky toward accepting a peace deal that would require concessions Ukraine has repeatedly rejected. According to Moscow, the sudden spike in drone attacks is a symbolic lunge by Kiev, aimed at demonstrating defiance to Washington and NATO officials demanding compromise. The statement, delivered by Ambassador-at-Large Rodion Miroshnik, accuses Ukraine of deliberately targeting civilian sites deep inside Russia. Moscow insists its own long-range strikes remain focused solely on degrading Ukraine's deep strike capabilities and weapons manufacturing operations. The diplomatic temperature spiked further as U.S. President Donald Trump publicly told Zelensky to be realistic and make a deal.
And you said in an interview yesterday that you think it's time for Zelensky to start accepting things. What things are you talking about?
I think he has to be realistic, and I do wonder about, how long is it going to be till they have an election? It's a democracy. It's a long time. They haven't had an election in a long time. It's losing a lot of people, and it's possible that the people, if you look at the polls, I will say 82%, there was a poll that came out, 82% of the people are demanding a settlement be made, Ukrainian people. They want to see a settlement be made. I understand that. They're losing thousands and thousands of people a week. They want to see it ended. And I do say, at what point, when do they have an election in Ukraine? That's not casting dispersions on anybody, but they do have a massive corruption situation going on there. And they do say, when are they, people are asking this question, when do they have an election? Are they going to have an election? Or are they going to just keep it going like this? So I think it's time to get that war settled. And I think it's a war that can be settled. But it takes two to tango.
Ukraine President Zelensky rejected American pressure and signaled that Kiev is not prepared to bend.
Greetings, dear Ukrainians. Today was a very busy day, and the coming days will also be serious. We spoke with the American team about economic matters and reconstruction. I want to thank Secretary Besant, Jared Kushner, and Larry Fink from BlackRock for their complete constructiveness. An important shared principle for reconstruction to be of high quality and for economic growth after this war to be tangible, real security must be at the foundation. When there is security, everything else follows. The 20 points to end the war is a fundamental document. We are working actively. The key steps must be workable steps. From this document, we are developing two more documents, at least two documents. And the first of them is about security, on security guarantees for Ukraine with the United States of America, and also about the economy, on reconstruction and joint investments. Today we work specifically on the economic document, and together with me on the Ukrainian side were Ukrainian officials. Prime Minister of Ukraine, Yulia Sviridenko, Deputy Prime Minister Kachka, Ministers Sibia and Soboliev, and the First Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kislitsia. Our defenders are also represented in all discussions. Today, General Hnatov joined us in the economic discussion. The principles of the economic document are completely clear. With the American side, everything is clear on this matter. I want to thank you for today's meeting in the VTC format, in video format. There will be a plan of economic measures. Europe will also join us in the reconstruction. Definitely. In the near future, we plan to work on the other two documents as well. Rustem Umerov continued the communication. Tomorrow we are preparing a meeting of the Coalition of the Willing. More than 30 countries that together with Ukraine are working for security on land, in the air and at sea. Next week we will coordinate with Europe, including in bilateral formats. Ukraine is working quickly. Every visit, every negotiation we have always yields practical results, first and foremost for our defense, for our resilience. Today our combat aviation has been strengthened. Thank you. The details are not public yet, but we are constantly adding strength in the sky. Today, there is also an additional sanctions measure in Europe. There will be more sanctions against Russian tankers, against the entire infrastructure for transporting Russian oil. And that is the right thing to do. In December, Ukraine will also present its own package of sanctions against the tanker fleet that is supporting the war. And we will extend this pressure in joint formats with our partners. There will also be new measures against Russian propagandists. Today, there was also a report from the head of the Foreign Intelligence Service of Ukraine, including on the enemy's economic situation and the growing dependence of Russians on China. In Russian history, no one has ever surrendered sovereignty so much in favor of China or any other stronger nation. It's phenomenal how much Putin is willing to pay just to avoid ending this war. But the world still has enough power to end this war, to force Russia to do so. Peace, we need peace. I want to thank everyone who is helping. One more thing. Today I spoke with representatives of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. We had a substantive discussion. I will not allow any speculation against Ukraine. If our partners, including our key partner in Washington, if our partners talk so much and so specifically about elections in Ukraine, about elections under the legal regime of martial law, then we must provide Ukrainian legal answers to every question and every doubt. This is not easy, but we definitely do not need any pressure regarding this. I expect that the members of the Ukrainian parliament will propose their own vision. Security challenges depend on our partners, primarily on America. Political and legal challenges must be addressed by Ukraine, and that will happen.